Hello everybody, this is Amanda Cooper. With me today we have two wonderful young ladies from the Killingsworth Home. I have here Miss Executive Director, Miss Susan Sermons, and we also have Shannon. She is you said you were the resident coordinator.
Yes, ma'am.
Before we begin, could you talk a little bit about the organization and how you all became a part of it?
Well, thank you so much. Well, first of all, we thank you for the opportunity to come and share this with you all. Killingsworth has been in existence for around 70 years here in Columbia. Initially, Killingsworth was designed by Cora Killingsworth, believe it or not, for women that were coming into Columbia for an education that needed a place to stay. And so that went on for about 20 years, and after there was no longer a need for housing, I guess when USC, other colleges had dorms or living arrangements, she didn't change the mission. And the mission for Killingsworth then became a place where we would help women that were in crisis or recovering from some life crises, to include addiction, domestic violence, homelessness, mental health issues. And so we kind of switched gears. And so for the last 40 plus years, we have been serving that population of women. Right now we house about 17 women, and the women that come to us, they come from all different walks of life. We have a very diverse population of women. When we think about addiction, I think that sometimes people put people who suffer with addiction into a box. But in reality, addiction actually it doesn't discriminate. We have women who are professionals, we've had attorneys, we have had nurses, we've had homeless women. So our population of women varies. And so our goal at Killingsworth, because recovery is hard, addiction is hard, and addiction is actually a disease like any other chronic disease. And that has been the most difficult challenge for us, is just educating not only the women who are addicts, but educating the society, their family members, and it's what makes it more difficult for women to overcome, because people see it as a matter of willpower as opposed to a chronic condition. So when the women come to Killingsworth, our goal is for them to achieve long-term recovery, because addiction is a lifelong chronic kind of a condition. So what we do is we work with them achieving long-term recovery, which increases their chances of being in recovery. We've had women who've been in recovery for 20, 30 plus years. And so it works, by having the structure that we have at Killingsworth. We take these women in, we're very structured, which makes us different from other recovery homes, where when they come in, the women have curfews, we have a treatment plan, the women have to attend meetings, we teach them living skills, we teach them how to deal with life soberly, and we have a great staff of women who work with these women to provide them the tools that they need, whether it's the structure, whether it's counseling. We provide all these services so that when they leave us, the goal is long-term recovery, living independent and self-sufficient, because many of them have lost their homes at least 3, 4, 5 times. And that's why we say it's a disease. How many people would choose to be homeless, choose to lose their children, choose to be estranged from their families? So that takes the choice away from it. It is a disease. And so what we do at Killingsworth is we help these women to live their best lives, to regain their relationships with their children, to regain or rebuild their relationships with their families. And we've had quite a few success stories. And so we have to try to treat the whole person. And to treat that whole person, we have to provide them mental health services. We have to provide them Voc Rehab, we work very closely with. They're one of our biggest partners, and they help our women to get job training, help them with sometimes a couple of weeks rent, also helps them with job opportunities. And so we do have to do all those, or we try to do all those things, which takes money, which is a little bit about why we're here today. But I want you to hear from Shannon, who was actually, I want to let her tell her story.
Okay, thank you, Miss Susan. Yeah, so I'm actually a former resident of Killingsworth. And excuse me, I always get emotional because Killingsworth saved my life. And I'm able to give back to Killingsworth and to the residents of Killingsworth by working there now. They took a chance on me. But I came from prison, and I now have over 7.5 years clean and sober. I graduate on Wednesday with my associate's degree in human services, and I'm currently working on my bachelor's degree in social work because I want to be able to help more women like me. Yeah. Because if it hadn't have been for Killingsworth, I wouldn't be where I'm at today. The staff helped me with so much stuff, so much. And just the love and support that I received from the staff members there is what helped me keep going every day. They loved me when I didn't know how to love myself.
Girl, you're going to get me in my feelings today. Oh my goodness. What an amazing story. Congratulations,
Thank
sweetheart.
you. Thank
I'm
you.
proud of you, and I just met you. That's an incredible feat. So that's why you're with the organization right
Yes.
now.
Yes.
You want to help women do the same thing and feel the same way you do.
Yes.
Could you tell me how you found them?
Honestly, while I was in prison, I was able to get on the work release program. And the woman that sponsors me today was a manager there. And her sponsor used to work at Killingsworth. And she told me about the house. And as a matter of fact, one of the other women that I worked with at that place, she was a former resident. And she spoke very highly. So I was able to do my application and do an interview while I was still incarcerated.
That's phenomenal. You know, one thing that I truly believe is that our stories connect us. And your story connects with me because even though maybe I'm not experienced being incarcerated or addiction, I know what it feels like to not have hope or to not know what it will take to get me out of my current situation, to have been in a dark place that I don't know, can't see the light out of. And that's exactly how you felt. And they help you find your light.
Yes.
And that's what you do on a daily basis now for women. Now, as you said, you're the resident coordinator.
Yes, ma'am.
Tell me about that process and how, number one, 2 questions now.
2 questions.
One is, tell me about the process and how it works when you're coordinating services. And number 2, tell me about how rewarding it must feel to help other women.
So it's different for every woman that comes through the door because nobody has the same story. So I have to do a lot of one-on-one meetings with these women to see what their specific needs are. And that's when I reach out to the other staff members to help me. Some of them may have different referrals that I may not have, or even just call in community members that I know. So it just depends on the specific needs of that particular woman. But I mean, it's wonderful to watch them in their journey as they grow and blossom. I love watching the light come back into their life.
Wow.
And knowing that I had a small part of that.
We have unconditional love for these women. And when they come to us, but we tell them that we can't want this more for you than you want it for yourself. So what we try to do is we provide that environment for them so that they have a safe place to do that. But back to what we need, 17 women, we need paper towels, we need toilet tissue, we need cleaning products. Because we're a nonprofit, the women are responsible for the upkeep of the house. But then we need monetary donations because a lot of the women, when they come to us, especially when they come directly from prison, they come with the clothes that are on their back. I have a clothes closet down in my one of my office areas, and sometimes I have to dress them from undergarments to outer garments.
Yes.
So when they get a job, most of them that go into the food industry, black slacks, white shirts.
Yep.
And so when they come in and we don't have it in the clothes closet, that means that we have to go out and buy those things for them. And sometimes we as staff will just go and buy it because we want to see them succeed. So we provide, like I said, all the tools and the security that they need in order to be successful.
This is such a wonderful organization. You know, I've talked to other people who were in prison and then they are back into the reentry program. And oftentimes they're on their own. They have their probation officer, and they don't have any other resources to really help them get a good start. And oftentimes it just kind of cycles back. But Killingsworth Home seems to be plugging in that gap with you being available for women who need the services. Now, for those who maybe are not in prison and are addicted to drugs or to whatever things that they might be dealing with, you help them as well.
We do. We do. The only thing that we require is when someone reaches out to us, we just require that if they have been, it's really interesting and really sad. Most young women and men who have become addicts, when you listen to their stories, it's really sad. Most of them start, believe it or not, I've had women that have started as young as 5 years old that first started experimenting. Some introduced by their family members, some by friends, other relatives. And so they have been out using, the women in our house, the age range is from 21 to 65. So that tells you how much of a beast addiction can be.
Now, Susan, I know Shannon's story. How did you connect with Killingsworth Home?
I have been associated with Killingsworth for over 25 years. I have family history, of addiction, so being a part and being one of those folk from, outside looking in. I always tell people about the lemonade experience. And for me, this is like my lemon to lemonade experience, where I wasn't able to help direct family members. It made me want to, even with my close family members, I'll just leave it that way. When I saw how they suffered because either a parent was addicted, was an addict or an alcoholic, and how it affected them, and the fact that I felt powerless, there was nothing I could do about it. And so I started with the Commission on Drug and Alcohol back in like the 80s, working, doing a night IOP program, working with addicts and alcoholics, and found that it fulfilled a need in me. And then I all of a sudden saw the need and how big it was. And so I came to Killingsworth because I was my daughter, her father was not in our lives at that time. And when you're raising a child on your own and you want them to go to college and do all those wonderful things, I had to do a part-time job. And Killingsworth was the place I did that part-time job. Fell in love with the mission. Everything I do is about the women. It's about Killingsworth. So no matter where we are, what's going on, my focus is on the women. And so I started working part-time. I left when my first grand was born. And when I got ready to retire about 5 years ago, I'm like, I need to go back. This is what I need to do. This is my ministry. This is my mission. I came back volunteering, and I was volunteering sometimes up to 30 hours a week. Becky Folker at the time was our office manager. And she said, Susan, you are volunteering so many hours. Why don't you just come back to us part-time? And so that's how I kind of got back in the swing of things. And we got a new director, Reverend Robinson, about 3.5, 4 years ago. And I was about to retire again. And we talked about me doing some other things, like doing the intake and doing assessments and working on doing treatment plans for the ladies. And I'm like, okay, I'll do it. And so it's just been so rewarding. And it's now, like I said, it's a part of me. It's a part of my ministry. It's what I feel God has called me to do.
And that's why it's important that people visit your website to learn more how they can donate, volunteer, and also donate financially with a monetary contribution, but also with goods and services, and I'm sure volunteer hours like you started.
Yes.
And again, the website is Killingsworth.org. So that's Killingsworth.org. You have to go, and you got to help this organization help as many women. We'd love to give you the opportunity to help even more women. 17, I know, is your max, but I'm hoping, believer like you guys, that we can expand that space so you can triple that number.
That's our goal. Is we want to grow the program. Everyone knows someone who's affected by addiction.
Absolutely.
And so it's going to be helping us and helping the women. Then we have our golf tournament that's coming up.
Yes, we've got to talk about that. It's coming up May 8th. You have your annual golf tournament at the Windermere Golf Club in Lightwood. Y'all are fancying it up, aren't you?
Yes.
Tell us about what people can expect with that.
I have never been a part of the golf tournament myself. Honestly, I have not.
So what the golf tournament does is the golfers kind of get together. They put together teams, and then they pay. You know, if you're a golfer, you know you have to pay to go on the golf course to play golf. So we have these teams that make donations to Killingsworth by sponsoring a team.
Okay.
And if you go to our website, you'll see how to sign up and sponsor a team. So you don't have to know how to play golf. We've had some of our supporters that have said, you know what, I don't know how to play golf, but I'd like to learn. I just want to have fun. So you just sign up for your team. You come out on that day. I think we start around 8 o'clock or so. We provide refreshments. We even have some of our women who are going to or want to volunteer to drive the golf carts to make sure that everyone stays hydrated. But this is one of our bigger fundraisers also.
Okay, wonderful. Well, we're so excited that you guys came in today. Again, this is Susan Sermons and Miss Shannon. They are with the Killingsworth Home, and they are excited to just be a part of this organization. You've given me hope here today and inspiration. I'm thinking in my head, what can I do? What can I do? So I'm going to definitely see what I can do to help you all be able to better serve the women across the Midlands. Thank you so much for coming in today.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you so much.